Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on a Wednesday. We have a great session for you today, and we have NEP, and we will talk about all these projects, their capabilities of AR and virtual studio productions, and most importantly, we will discuss about the corporate services that they are doing today. So we have Westbroek with us, the Crewmanager graphics from NEP, the Netherlands. And I let him say hi to you first before we dive into this great presentation. Hi, Vince. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Birim. Nice to be here. Hi, Onur. Good to see you too.
Yeah, I always forget Onur in the beginning of the session. Hi, thank you for joining.
Yeah, we deal with this usually after the webinar.
So, yes, we have all our participants ready. So let's start with NEP. What does NEP the Netherlands do? You are all over the globe, so let's discuss a bit about that.
Well, you see me a lot because I'm in a lot of videos and I'm doing some of the demonstrations on AR. So that's basically why you see me a lot. But thank you for having us. NEP is part of a global network, meaning that we have offices all over the world. Our headquarters are based in Pittsburgh in the US. And we have a worldwide network with companies, including in the network itself. And as you can see, we have 40 years of experience in serving the globe within 24 countries. And we are at least on all the continents with roughly 4,300 professionals working alongside. And we have maybe a lot of outside broadcast events and studio and post-productions across the globe. Our global network has devised parties in the world. As you can see, we've devised the world into three, into Europe, into Asia, Australia, and the US. And we have all kinds of broadcast services available on all globes. On the globe itself, to help facilitate our customers to produce all kinds of content from start to end. You know some names, some brands, which you saw in the previous slide. We have CT and Faber doing all kinds of screens and productions. NEP is globally around the world doing the broadcast in OB events and solutions. And as you can see, the network is pretty big, and we have all kinds of companies all together making the NEP global network. NEP is really well known for its core business in content creation, and we deliver from the capture of the images all the way until the distribution. For instance, we have all our own studios, we have flypacks, we have a lot of OB trucks which you can drive in front of the studio. But we also have the control room galleries and the remote production available. So from start to end, we can do the entire chain. NEP is able to deliver the end-to-end workflow. And due to the various hubs spread over the world, including data centers and connectivity, we can do the complete workflow from start to end. And one of the parts of our workflow is also to enrich the content with augmented reality, which we are showcasing today.
Yes. So let me ask you this: this augmented reality is a separate part in your whole network. Were you using virtual studio technology before Reality Engine?
Well, we started to do little baby steps with all kinds of applications to facilitate that, and we found out that as time proceeds and the demand proceeds as well, we need to scale up our game. And actually, to be fair, we found out that the Unreal proposition is the best available. So that's why we tried to work our way into. And looking for a partner which could combine the Unreal and unleash the power of it to I/O, so to actually see it on the screen. We finally arrived with you guys, and that I think is back in 2016 or so.
Yes, and well, NEP is one of the first partners of Srodancy, and now it's a strategic partner. So we came a long way together, and we have a lot of great projects to showcase today.
Definitely, yeah. We've created a lot of stuff together, and it started out with a show which we were like, we were really with our hands up in the air, like how are we going to make this happen? And we found a very willing and able partner to help us all the way through the night to make last minute changes and to get the broadcast on the road. So that's why where we started our relation. We've brought a little slide of the video to show you guys what we done in the last 4 years. So take a look. Well, thank you. First, I would like to say that with NEP in the Netherlands, which we are right now, that has the main part of our augmented reality proposal. We have a graphics department, roughly of 40 people, all designers, developers, AR technicians, developers of software, and also operators of all programs. And with augmented reality, we can create a powerful way of engaging the audience with the production. And we started with this show, which you see right here, some 4 years ago, to show how we've evolved. We have put all those video feeds alongside, so we can see where we started and where we are now. And you can especially see that we have gained a lot of knowledge and changed our way of working from design, operation, and detail and technology. This show, which you see here, is basically the first step we did together when we joined forces. This production had 2 cameras on pedestal, 1 crane, and 2 cameras on handheld. So you can see that all together they created a complete look and feel. They wanted to have a humongous backdrop. As you can see, the green screen is some 50 meters wide. It's created in a large L, so we could make shots from all sides. And as you can see, the audience and the presenters were in the close shots in the green, and we had to fill in all the backdrops. This show is basically I bet you I can do it show. So they have a bet like, okay, I'm going to shave my head. I'm going to shave my head if I don't succeed. And then well, as you can see, I didn't succeed too much. But they did a lot of production shows, and it actually made their production more value because they could change the backdrop as the show proceeded, which is a great example of how you could do it. Yeah, it was very flexible.
I actually have a question. So augmented reality and virtual reality is an area you have enormous amount of expertise and experience. And as you just mentioned, NEP is a worldwide company, many presence around the world. But in terms of augmented reality and virtual reality, I understand that NEP the Netherlands is somehow special about its expertise and offerings. Can you explain a bit about that? And if I didn't hear you, wrong, you just mentioned that you have a team of 40 people working on only augmented reality offerings.
Yep, well, that's true. Basically, the country is a front fighter of the new technology, and NEP the Netherlands has a lot of besides the normal broadcasting operation, also a vast majority of people that actually are innovating in broadcast services. And the graphics department of NEP was acquired from the company in the Netherlands. So that's why we are the first doing it. It's not the same. It's not to say that the other companies don't do it, but we simply started with it in 2016. So we're spreading our AR proposition all around the globe. We've done some stuff in the US. We've done the NEP in Denmark, which we can showcase a little bit later. And as you saw as well, we did some for Sky News Arabia. So we're trying to spread our AR proposition globally, but it originated from this location.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I especially went to the office, but if I look around, there's no one in this office. Actually went in here into the hallways, and as we have the COVID-19 lockdown situation also here in the Netherlands, they advise us to stay at home and do a lot of things online. So our proposition for the online environment and the broadcast which we're doing is seamlessly. So it's very nice that you're actually doing these webinars, because that's exactly what we're doing here.
Yes, we want to give people time to, talk about old projects and what they're doing now, which is also important to adapt to today's situation. So let's talk about this No Deal or Double Deal project.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is actually a nice project. The client that they wanted to do this test had an idea of to do a deal or no deal, but then a special sort of it, with a contestant that was also in augmented reality, because as you can see, this is our big Studio One, which is being fed with the Moses star tracking system to have tracking, and the zero density combination with the Unreal Engine. And the guy you see coming down the elevator is actually in a different studio. He's not even in this studio. He's in Studio 3, while the recording of the program was in Studio 1. So we had two separate studios, and the doors open with a little wire. As you can see, it's magic on TV. But the show is being done by a contestant playing in the studio versus a contestant playing in a different studio. So we had to take into account the amount of delay, the fact that we should close down the microphones and the ears because he couldn't hear what they're doing. And it was basically a show about can the contestants in a different studio guess what the studio client will say, yes or no. So it was a big tension in studio, and within the audience, people can actually see what we're doing. And as you saw upstairs, up on top of the screen, you saw real screens, which actually showed the whole composition to the audience, so they could see what was going on. Because that's one of the major things, right? If you're using AR, the audience cannot see anything at all. So we had big screens in the air showcasing what we were doing for the audience, so they could also participate with the feed itself.
Yeah, Vince, this is your own studios, right? In NEP. So can you talk about the technology in your studios? How many cameras, how many engines do you use for this show, for example, or in general?
For this show, well, in general, it comes from one camera, and it can be a PTZ camera until 25 cameras or 40 cameras, depending on what kind of shows we're using. We're a big broadcasting corporation, so we do shows from The Voice, which started here in the Netherlands, up to the newscasting, and this is just one of those shows. This one had 4 cameras AR. So the crane, which you see the shot over here, 2 cameras behind the audience to make the over-shoulder shot from the candidates, and 2 cameras behind the candidates to show the participants on the chairs. And they all had AR, so there were 4 render engines needed for this show. 1 controller, of course, to control all engines. And the game engine, the game software was produced on top of it. So the game engine was one of our regular computers, which fed out the data which was needed within the show. And they're being fed within 2 video inputs, which you can see above the candidates.
Thank you. Now I'm moving on to the Eurosport project, which is a very different studio than we saw with the entertainment show. How small was the studio?
Oh, that's a very nice example. This is the Eurosport studio. It's a very small studio. We like to call this the coffee corner studio, because the coffee corner studio was 2 meters and 75 centimeters high. and it was 4 meters by 5 meters length and width. So it was very small, and it was actually not bigger than the room I'm in right now, just a regular office. It was in front of their own home offices, so they had their production at the other side of the wall. They started in the morning at 7 o'clock because the time difference between Pyeongchang and here, being fed with the local feeds from the other side of the world into this studio. And as you can see, it's completely virtual. So it was in a 360-degree studio with 3 cameras. So there was a talent sitting on the right side of the desk. There was a talent sitting on the left side of the desk, an analyst to actually analyze all feeds which came in. There was a funny thing about this studio because you see glass and you see a backdrop. The backdrop was completely projected around the studio itself, and changed color with the time of day. So as you can see, we started when it was day in Pyeongchang, but at 10 o'clock in the morning, it was already dark in Pyeongchang. So we changed it to a shimmering down, and you could see the fire flame of the Olympic fire because you could see it from this shot as well. So we had some footage of the day and of the night to really make the idea that the studio was on top of the mountain itself. And the funny thing about this studio was everybody thought that the desk was fake and all the things were real. It was completely the other way around.
We get that a lot. Last week we had a guest from Culture and Arts television channel, and which is exactly the same situation. They thought the background was real and everything else was not.
That's
showed great graphics. So and photorealism, of course.
So about this project, Vince, I needed to give it to you and maybe congratulate you one more time, because I think this is my all-time favorite project from NEP, the Netherlands. And personally, I use this as a part of my sales pitch to customers because this is such a brilliant use case, because it looks professional, it looks serious, it looks clever, it looks like $1 million studio. And as you just mentioned, it was shot in an office room with less than 3 meters ceiling height. I think this is, exhibition of the technology, and it shows what you can do with this technology with your expertise in real-time virtual production and with limited resources given.
Yeah,
if you're talking about favorites, I played my favorite.
Yeah, this is my favorite too, because I like the fact that he actually is playing alongside with this car, and the driver is in there as well. About the last video you just saw, the Eurosport, there is a because that's the first time we embedded virtual lighting within the studio. That's why it looked so good, because you could change it according to the day of time, and there was the shadows worked as you saw. If they had glasses on the table, you could actually really see through the glass. So it's hard to believe it's fake. That's why it's so good.
Yeah.
Because Ziggo Sport, as part of Liberty Global and the production company Southfields, together with the challenging force of director Rolf Meter, pushes really to the limits. The director, together with the company, really pushes to use the limits of the capabilities of the computer and of Unreal. We created they had a green screen studio of 25 square meters and a physical set with a set extension, combined with a cafe with AR enhancements. And we developed for them a photorealistic virtual set. It's 360 degrees round, so if you turn the camera around, you can see that it is a pit box with all kinds of doors. There's a fire extinguisher there that really reflects the presenter when he's walking into the studio. And we've created, as you see, if you create a photorealistic studio, you need to make in some flaws as well. So there must be blemishes on the hardware. There must be crooks and bends within the materials, because otherwise you don't believe it's real. If it's too neat, too fine, then you don't believe it. And the car you see driving into the virtual set, that's a nice story, because we're doing that for the 3rd year. This is the 2019 edition, and we now have the 2020 edition, which sadly has not driven yet because of the COVID-19 situation. Yeah. But we sent spies to the winter training and to the first training in Barcelona to photograph the hell out of this car to recreate it in 3D, because no one will tell you what the car really looks like. And you have to be very creative with it. So we analyzed this car and we looked at all the kinds of pictures everybody created around the world to make this I think I can say 95% accurate car, which is kind of nice.
And I would definitely believe that, maybe more. So I have a specific question for this specific shot. So at the end of the shot, the cameraman makes, fast movement, like he's trying to catch the car, and it gives the sense that, it makes it, a whole lot realistic. Was it, pre-planned? Was it spontaneous? Was it an idea?
It was not.
That final move.
It definitely was not spontaneously, but the idea started spontaneously. Like, can we drive the car into that? That's one of the things I told you. The director and the production company, they challenge us to do stuff, because the first time the car only drove by from left to right, and then we had like, okay, can we do a pit stop? That the car stops in front of the pit box, and we told you, well, we can do you one better. We can actually drive it into the studio. So then you're going to play with those kinds of questions. As you can see, there's a lot of detail within this pit box. You can see the wall and the flags in the backdrop. They are the flags from the location where we are with the Formula One. Even as the boarding you can see at the backdrop, they are from the location where we are. The screens on the right, where the presenter is now in front of, they can change with all the data that's specific to the location. So it's all kinds of details that actually bring you up to speed. If you ever see this show, there's an NEP cup somewhere hidden in the studio.
But how long have you been working with Zigo on this project? I think you've been going live a lot of hours.
Oh yeah, actually we're using this live. When there is sport, we're using it live almost 18 hours on day. So we start at 9 in the morning preparing for the show that starts for the first match, which will be at 11:30 or so, all the way to the recap show at the evening, stopping at 11:30 in the evening. So, and it's on constant because of the system and of the system, the way we created our sets. We made it so that we can actually change on the spot from one studio to another. Because what you see here is a virtual set, but it's the same virtual set as you see in the next clip. Because the next clip is the same studio, but then shot from a different location. So the green box, which you just saw, is on the left here. And as you can see, this is the extension on the top. So it's an extension on the physical set. And there's a virtual camera move that brings you from all the way beyond the physical borders of the studios into the studio. For Ziggo Sport, we're using 6 cameras, or 5, depending on the program. And 3 of them are being fitted with AR. And 2 cameras are only there for closes and can be used to make intercuts with the hardware. Because as you can see, there is a lot of rendering done on this set.
Yeah. Should I move on?
You can move on to the next one. The next one is a very, very nice one. That's Sky News Arabia. And together we've introduced one virtual reality news studio with 3 different looks and feels. So the first one was Timeline, which provides periodic news updates during the day and the evening. And we also created the evening is analyzes the big stories that happen during the day. And the third one, that's the one for within sort of a hovering platform that's used for the sport programs. So the one you're seeing right now, right now is the one we're using for sport. So the virtual screen, which you see right there, pops up out of the floor. These screens can pop out of the floor as well. Those are virtual screens embedded with digital video. So SDI can be planted, or image sequences, or just static objects can be shown into there. And we also create these studios with data integration. So if you have data coming from a partner, which we can embed into and think of XML or SDIs of CSVs or all kinds of data links we can embed into to our engine. Maybe it's the best way to see it on the next slide, because that's when we went overboard. The next slide you're going to see. This is actually The production we created last November, December, and it went on air. It went on air in January for the Super Bowl. So their studio is exactly as big as the green box from Ziggo. Their ceiling is also lower than Ziggo. They have a ceiling roughly around 3 meters, 3.15 meters or so. So not too high. And we've created 2 pedestals with a riser and 1 camera on a traveling on a slider going left and right to have 3 cameras in AR. And the big question they asked is to create a studio that was versatile, and if we could rotate the studio around so they could do their play-by-play analysis. So what you see here is the other side of the studio. We rotated the complete set 180 degrees. So they're still in the same studio. They're still in the same location. But what we just did is rotate the studio around them. So we made a button for them to control their orientation of the studio. So now he's at the same location as he is here. So he can either stand on the gray field, or go and take out the carpet and the desk and do some play-by-play analysis.
Would you say that the benefit is here not to create a background image, a foreground image, but rather to create a 3D world that can actually play inside the location you want?
Exactly.
Yeah, of this 3D world creation.
What they asked us here is to create 4 sections of world, and we're now only seeing 2 because we don't look to the left or to the right. But they asked us to create a studio which had the diameter of has the circumference of a diameter of 30 meters. So it's a circle of 30 meters in around, and you're only seeing roughly 10 meters of the camera location until the backdrop. So it's always in the middle or going somewhere in the middle, and then rotating around. And we also created some features like the movable screens, which you see right here. They have 5 different screens which can be placed on any location within the studio. So we could create something like a sliding opening door, or like as you can see right here, he's not there, he's just physically there. This is one of their sliding doors, which was one on the circle as well, but at the other side. So they could do versatile stuff with this studio. And we also embedded 4 SDI inputs, so they could create whatever video they want to see within the studio. They could either put it on a glass plate or put it on the backdrop itself. It's a pretty versatile studio to create, and now they're doing it for NFL, but we've created also multiple sports which can be shown within the studio.
Great. So this is for which channel was this?
This is for the Nordic Entertainment Company.
Nordic Entertainment Company.
And this being broadcasted at Sport 3 Plus in Denmark.
Okay.
And I think they're using it. I think there are more than one NEP broadcast. I think also Sweden and Norway have one as well. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
How long was the process? This is a generic question to get. How long did it take you to deliver this project and go live? How big was your crew?
The crew was basically 4 or 5 designers, 2 technical artists to embed the design within the reality setup and the Unreal Engine. And on site, it was I was there for the integration with our control application, which we're going to talk about in a few slides, together with a designer who was there to fix the final blemishes or the final request, and with a technician which was there to prepare all hardware and software to be done. I think we started this project somewhere in November, and then we scaled up until full throttle in December to have the first draw installed on location. And then after it was installed on location, we were there for a week for training. So we did the on-site training to have the operators locally control the applications and the studio setup. And so basically, I would say roughly 1.5 months from conception until full operation.
Wow, this is a great timing. So we skimmed through all the broadcast projects. Now we have another great tool for events and entertainment.
Yeah, definitely, because what we've created here is within our application, we've created the ability to put in virtual lighting and control them by DMX. So what you see here is not the operator of Unreal or Reality or the zero density or the cube application running it, but it's the lighting switcher himself. So we've created virtual lighting points within the set, and they are being controlled on DMX. So you can see Ralph, he's presenting this broadcasting show about our abilities to control lighting and oversee timing, etc., etc. And he's showcasing here that all the virtual lights. Yes, Onur.
So this is, I believe, this is a whole another level, Vince, that was introduced by NEP Netherlands. So I just want to make sure that I understand this clearly. So you have connected the physical light switch and light controls with reality engines, and when the physical light changes to something, virtual lighting in reality engine changes accordingly. So here you have an immersive lighting experience for real and virtual for your mixed reality.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say, yes. So what we've created is the ability for the lighting operators to control the virtual light as well. So what you then create is a seamless integration of the lighting which are in the studio together with the physical set. Because what you can see here is that the physical set is only the part where he's standing on with the cubes. So this is the physical set, and that's the virtual set around it. And you can see that the colors of the lighting completely changed. So the audience in the hall were seeing exactly the same look and feel in color. And together with the OSC integration, which we didn't put on this slide, but also there, we can control animations and movements on cue. So it's not only the lighting that can be controlled, it's also the movement of the objects in the ceiling, which now go up. Oh, yeah. And they've been controlled by OSC as well. So it's for us, it's simply the integration and the development and design of the set, and then giving all the tools back to the operators who can control. So the lighting control guy can control the virtual lights. The animations and the movements can be done by the switcher or by the automation. If you're using automation or you're using QPilot or anything like that, they can control the animations as well. So it goes pretty far.
Yeah. And alongside real-time ray tracing, you also showcased DMX at IBC 2019, I think, in Zero Density booth. So the real-time ray traced virtual studio was demoed for the first time by NEP and Zero Density at the booth of IBC.
That is correct. Yeah. You guys challenged this as well, because we are partnering together with this. We wanted to do it in ray tracing in 4K, and you say, okay, we've got the latest update of the Zero Density, which controls the latest version of Unreal. So go ahead. So what we created is our own. Since we're into racing, we love the details that are in race cars and in virtual sets of race cars. So we created our own pitbox, an outlook and feel. I think this one doesn't loop, so yeah, maybe you can start it. Maybe you can start it again. Yeah. It's enormous amount of detail within this set. Actually, is stunning. The ray tracing and the reflections of lights, which are not even visible at the location where you can see it, are still reflected within all the objects. So it's really the next step in going for AR. So our current clients are asking us, okay, please embed this ray tracing also within our sets as well. And that's exactly what we've been doing since our last IBC. We're creating all kinds of stunning new sets with the Unreal's features enabled, like ray tracing and the reflections. It's a pretty, I really love the fact that there is one single light standing on the tower of tires. And we demoed it at your booth, that if you move the light around, you could also see the reflection of that virtual light being reflected into the virtual car as well. It's really mind-blowing. It goes so far into the details that you hardly know what is real and what is re-rendered.
Yeah. What would you say the most important benefit of real-time ray traced virtual studios, apart from the photorealism that it brings?
It makes it more believable, because what you now see is an object, and if you look at this long enough, you're like, okay, so anyone can walk into here and you can see that there is a seamless integration between what's that. The shadows are the same, there is reflection, so if you have a light on someone, you could put that light also virtually on an object. So there is no flaws anymore. It gets better and better. So that's, I think this development has a pretty good addition to what we're doing now, and creating a whole new experience.
Does it cause any different designing workflow or operating workflow, or is it basically the same?
It's basically the same. It needs a little bit more hardware, but hardware progresses as well, because the newer render engines get there as well. So you need to upgrade the engines, but basically what you do is create more detail into your set. So first you started with the HD texture, and now you're going into 4K textures, 8K textures, etc., going on and on. And you really need to determine what you're going to need and how it's going to interfere with your whole setup and look and feel. What you are capable of course. So basically it's the same, but it needs some more attention. And our designers really love the fact that they can have more attention to their designs, of course.
Yeah, true. So you have NEP's dynamic control integration layer, which is tightly linked inside Reality Engine. So let's dive a little bit into Cube.
Yes, please. So you saw all the video effects, like the connection of DMX and the connection of OSC, and this is where it all comes together. What we found out during our beginning times of working with you guys is that there's a lot of possibilities, and there are so much possibilities that you're gonna lose the overview in what you're gonna do. So we had to scroll from going back and forth over the whole page to put something online and offline, and we wanted to make it more intelligent. So we created our own application that controls all the animations, all the images, all the textures, all the movements, everything that we can create within Unreal and connect to Zero Density's application. We need to control. So we created an application called Cube, and if you move over to the next slide, you can see that you can have a lot of nodes. These are all nodes which can control objects within the set. This actually is from Ziggo, as you can see. And this is one of the beam matches, as you can see on the left. Our left is our view, so that determines what you can see within the application itself. And on the right-hand side, you can see the complete rundown, the control of the show. So if you click on the right, you're in the show. You are going to show the advanced lineup, and within the advanced lineup, we keyframed specific nodes to do something. So within, you can see, for instance, the top green-pink elements. Those are elements to control video players. So you can put in a video loop and apply it, and then make a keyframe. So if I press the button on the right, then this element will start to run. And it's not limited to one element. You can do multiple elements. So if you can go back one slide, you can see that I can actually control multiple objects and connect them all to one button. So you can really make it smart. So any button you press can hide an object, show a different object, move it, display it, start an animation, start a virtual animation like a camera, change lighting, because lighting can change us, but we can also send out DMX, so we can also control other applications. So this really brings everything together. And this is this application is now running for roughly 2.5 years, I would say. Created in-house to be seamlessly integrated within Zero Density and the Unreal Augmented proposition.
Great, thank you. So actually, before moving on to the corporate services, I want to take one question which is related to all the projects we've seen.
Yeah.
The question is, how do you remote control such shows? Do you use an automation software like Bizarre Mozart? But I think you showcased your control automation system, so I consider this question answered. Do you have anything to add?
No, it can be done with that as well, because this application also controls with newsroom systems. So if the newsroom system is calling up a specific object, it can be connected to Cube, and Cube can actually integrate with that as well. So it's the intermediate, it goes in between.
Okay, thank you. So let's talk about the corporate services.
Oh, Birim, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
In the Cube, there is also the integration, of course, with the data mining. So you can get the data from various locations, from statistics providers, etc., etc. So you can feed there all the data into the system and assign it to specific nodes. So if you have a node that actually shows the standing in the Turkish league, then you simply click on it and it says, okay, give me the standing of the league of this moment or last week or next week. Give me the programming, and it will display those elements into the 3D elements. So it's also an intelligent object to connect data into Unreal.
Thank you. So NEP's motto is never expect the possible, and the impossible happened with coronavirus. And I think NEP handled this process on a great level.
Thank
and
you.
Corporate services stood out in this process.
Yeah,
So,
because
yeah.
in these times of Corona, it's important to keep communicating with your clients and your people to have a clear and transparent way of targeting that audience. And we've created a webcast all our lives. In the last 20 years, we're doing a lot of webinars, online training, and interactive sessions for groups as little as 25 to 100,000 people. Those propositions are mainly done within a physical set at the client site. But if you cannot have everybody traveling to your site, or you cannot have any audience with it, then this proposition which we have created right here is really a good way of reaching out and getting your audience connected. So there you see, that's the handsome guy again.
So you're having Winception.
Exactly. This set is actually the same as we used for the Eurosport set, but then branded with our own sauce. Yeah. So changing the logo, changing the outlook and of the window, that really gives you the look and feel of your broadcast or your client's needs into to the virtual set. And as I'm saying here, that, well, there you are. You can see it as well. It makes it really nice, yeah, to connect to your clients, and the client's needs are like, okay, I need to communicate because I cannot be able to make a complete event. What's the best way to do it? Well, there's of course several ways to do it, but this is one particular smart way of getting your message across to the audience. And it can be done within a set as big as the closet which we used for Eurosport, being a very small green setup, or in one of the biggest green screen studios we have in Hilversum, which is our Studio 4, which consists of 30 meters backdrop, 9 meters high. So you can do the biggest things you can create with one camera, or as many as you need. In this case, we use 2 cameras, but it's mainly the amount of camera which you're going to use. And the main benefit of it is that you can get external data and external feeds into your virtual sets, so you can have participations of other parts which cannot be there and bring them into the set. We've used this for education webinars and for interactive services and virtual exhibitions, or we're gonna do one pretty soon. I think next week we're gonna do a presentation to showcase latest projects within this studio. We're currently hosting a live technology event for one of the major companies here in the Netherlands. And normally they organize this at their own location, at their site, but they're not able to get the people to their site because of the well, we simply cannot have anyone around. Only within 6 feet distance or 1.5 meters distance. and audience over 10 persons are prohibited here in the Netherlands, and I guess, well, mainly across Europe. So how do you then cope with that? So this is our way of coping with it, and we're doing webinars for so long that we thought, well, this is actually the best of all the worlds together. Having your webinar, having the ability of clients to step into the virtual world, having your message brought to everybody, and we record it as well, so you can, of course, as you do right here, you're recording it so everybody can re-look it again, re-see it again. We protect it with a password if necessary, so it can be there for reviewing if necessary. Basically, what we did is a webinar showcase like Eurosport in this case, but we can go to multiple cameras, breakout sessions, 10,000 viewers. The sky is really the limit, and that's why we say never expect the possible.
Yeah, great way to wrap it up. Yeah, well, how many projects have you done for corporate services?
This is a little bit of a difficult question because I cannot answer the amount of questions, but I can tell you that since we've put this video on the internet, clients are being able to reach us and to get this message across. Mm-hmm. I would say that at this moment we're working on 3 projects altogether at this week, but it proceeds to the next week, and we have multiple locations to do this webcast. Let it be in AR, which is a great proposition to add virtual objects and have parties being fed into the virtual set. But we also have our boardroom studio, which is 2 doors to our left, which is being used weekly. I would say it helps us to do something with broadcasts and with production since we now have a lockdown.
Yeah. Would you say that your corporate clients' interest have risen during this process?
Oh, definitely, yes. Because they are not able to produce their programs and still they want to inform the world. So the things which we do right now help them tremendously to connect with their to connect with the audience. We're using this program now daily within a broadcaster in the Netherlands who has created a program like "Don't Stay Behind," don't think we've left you, we're still there, and they have a name for it, "Never Alone," because you're never alone. And they do a daily broadcast from their home location. So we bring the studio to them. We've put cameras in their offices, and we have a control location next door, and they can do their daily show. So they have definitely found out that there is a way of production, even not being in the studio, but being in their own offices.
So can you tell a bit about that technology that you brought to the home location of the project?
Basically, that's the same as doing a project in the studio, but then with smaller means. So we have cameras, we have PTZ cameras, or we have a camera on a steady shot, or we have one camera operator running the location to have more of a movement. And we can do because NEP has a complete remote production as well, we can do it from remotely. So we put in front of the studio, we make an interconnection box with our network, bring all the signals into our facility, and then make the program from there and airing it like that. That's what we've been doing with a lot of shows here. And we keep on doing it also on the web.
So one camera is all you need to make it look like what we've seen before, at least like closely.
What we're doing right now is nothing different.
Yeah. Corporate like sector shouldn't be afraid of to utilize this broadcast technology. It is broadcast, but it's actually multidisciplinary as well. So it is a great time to take this as an opportunity to move forward in this area. So if any other questions come in from this, please don't hesitate to write and we'll get them answered. Even if you write it after the webinar, I'll make sure we'll answer it.
Excellent. Yes, please.
Any other remarks or questions from you, Onur?
So as the account manager, responsible account manager for NEP, I just want to say We appreciate you guys, and we are glad that we are partnering. And I am basically looking forward to more amazing stuff with you. And for the interest of the corporates, I can also confirm that the interest has been increased in the past few weeks during this pandemic. And having a fully equipped green studio with that kind of expertise and with reality engines, it's such a nice position to be in nowadays.
Yeah, I agree with you. You asked me to show you some of the green studio itself, and I cannot do that because there's currently a production in that studio. So, so you're correct. There's a lot of attention to it, and it gained a lot of popularity and enthusiastic of doing it like this. And the green and augmented proposition helps a lot because you can create your own look and feel and make it your own studio, even in these difficult times.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for joining us, Vince. It was such a breeze, this webinar. I didn't realize how long it has been, actually. Great videos, great input, and thank you again.
You're so welcome. Thank you very much for having me over.
Thank you very much.